Today we're going to talk about something you've probably experienced many times without realizing it. Those seemingly innocent requests that slowly drain your energy, your peace, and your well-being. Have you ever wondered why you feel inexplicably tired after interacting with certain people? Or why are there situations that, although they seem simple, leave you with a feeling of weight or discomfort? Aren't you imagining things? What you experience is the result of having given in to demands that, deep down, do not respect your personal boundaries. Our emotional and spiritual well-being depends largely on our ability to identify and establish healthy boundaries. When we allow others to cross these invisible but essential boundaries, we begin to live a life that is not entirely our own. Jacob Grimber, in his studies on the nature of perception, suggested that the way we experience reality is deeply connected to our ability to maintain our energetic integrity. When we allow others to interfere with our energy field through inappropriate requests, our perception becomes distorted and we lose touch with our essence. Today I'm going to reveal the 5 most dangerous requests you should never accept, regardless of who the request comes from. These are requests that might seem normal at first glance, but they hide enormous potential to unbalance your life and derail you from your path of personal development. It's not about becoming insensitive or closed off to others, quite the opposite. It's about learning to give from abundance and not from emptiness, of helping without losing yourself in the process, of loving without fading away. The journey to a fulfilling life begins with recognizing your intrinsic worth and respecting your own living space. By identifying these 5 requests and learning to respond to them consciously, you will be taking a giant step towards your emotional and spiritual freedom. Get ready to discover these 5 requests that you should identify and handle wisely. I assure you that after this video, you will have a new perspective on your relationships with others and, most importantly, on your relationship with yourself. The first warning sign you should recognize is when someone asks you to take on responsibilities that aren't yours. This happens more often than you think. It's that person who constantly seeks you out to solve their work problems, or the family member who expects you to fix every conflict in their life, or even the friend who somehow always ends up delegating decisions to you that only they should make. These requests are often presented disguised as urgency or necessity. Only you can help me with this. I don't know what I would do without you. No one else understands my situation like you do. Phrases that, although they sound like compliments, are actually subtle ways of transferring responsibility. When you take on burdens that don't belong to you, something dangerous happens on an energetic level. Imagine that each person has their own life field, a space where they manage their experiences and learning. By carrying other people's problems, you are extending your energy into spaces that don't correspond to you, creating a profound imbalance. This imbalance manifests as unexplained exhaustion, a constant feeling of being overweight, and a strange sensation of experiencing problems that aren't really yours. Your mind and spirit become overwhelmed trying to solve equations that were not designed for you. How can you identify when you are faced with a request of this type? Observe your bodily sensations. When someone asks you to do something that isn't your responsibility, you often feel an immediate tension in your body, perhaps in your stomach or chest. Your body is wise and will let you know when something is not aligned with your well-being. To set healthy boundaries without feeling guilty, start by remembering that helping someone doesn't mean doing their work for them. You can offer emotional support, different perspectives, or even resources. But the ultimate responsibility should always remain where it belongs. Practice responding with phrases like, "I understand your situation and I'm here to listen, but this is a problem you need to resolve, or I support you emotionally, but I can't take on this responsibility for you." These responses maintain human connection while establishing clear boundaries. Remember also that by solving other people's problems, you are often preventing them from developing their own skills and strengths. Every challenge in life comes with a learning experience that is unique and non-transferable. You always solve everything for someone. You are robbing them of the opportunity to grow. By releasing these foreign burdens, you will notice a surprising change in your vital energy. Suddenly, you'll have more mental space for your own projects, more emotional clarity, and a renewed sense of lightness. This is the transformative power of recognizing and honoring your own limits. True compassion is not about burdening others with their problems, but about being there for them as they find their own way. By establishing this first fundamental boundary, you not only protect yourself, but you also allow others to develop their own strength and autonomy. The second request you should stay away from is when someone constantly asks for your resources without any real justification. We're not just talking about money, although that's often the most obvious example. We also mean your time, your personal belongings, your professional contacts, and even your specialized knowledge. These requests often come with a sense of urgency or accompanied by elaborate stories that evoke your compassion. It's just this once. I'm in a desperate situation. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. However, when you look closely, you'll notice that there is a pattern. The emergency never ends, and the return rarely happens. There is a fundamental difference between authentic generosity and what we might call energy vampirism. Generosity is born from abundance, from a genuine desire to share what you have without expectations. It is a free choice that makes you feel fulfilled. On the other hand, when you lend resources out of pressure, guilt, or fear, an energetic imbalance is created that profoundly affects your well-being. How to identify when someone is abusing your generosity? Pay attention to the frequency of requests and your emotional reaction when you receive the request. If you experience an immediate feeling of weight, resistance, or discomfort, your intuition is sending you an important signal. Also notice whether the person shows genuine gratitude or if they take your help for granted, as if it were an obligation on your part. When you need to set a boundary, remember that you can be firm and kind at the same time. You can say something like, "I value our relationship, but right now I can't lend that resource," or "I would like to help you, but I'm not in a position to do so now." You don't need to give lengthy explanations or justify your decision. In balanced relationships, resources flow in both directions. It won't always be a direct or immediate exchange, but there should be a sense of reciprocity over time. If you notice that you are always the one giving and never receiving, that is a clear sign of imbalance. Protecting your resources is not an act of selfishness, but rather one of self-love and responsibility. As you set this boundary, you will notice that some people might pull away. This, although painful, is a natural cleansing of your environment. Those who value your essence beyond what you can materially provide will respect your boundaries and remain in your life. Remember that your value as a human being is not in what you can materially give to others, but in your authentic presence and genuine connection. By protecting your resources, you are honoring your path and creating space for relationships based on mutual respect and true energetic balance. The third request you should recognize and handle wisely is when you are asked to intervene or mediate in conflicts that are not your responsibility. Perhaps you've found yourself in situations where you're the go-between for estranged family members, the referee for disagreeing friends, or the messenger for colleagues who don't speak directly to each other. These requests often come disguised as trust. Only you can talk to both of them. "I trust your impartiality. I need you to explain my position to him because he won't listen to me." While these words may make you feel valued, they are actually placing you on an energetic battlefield that is not yours. When you agree to mediate other people's conflicts, especially those fraught with intense emotions or long-standing resentments, you are exposing your energy field to opposing forces. Without realizing it, you begin to absorb the tensions, frustrations, and pain of the parties involved. This phenomenon has an explanation from the perspective of the fields of consciousness that Jacobo Grenberg explored in his research. According to this view, each conflict generates its own energy field, a matrix of tensions and patterns. By voluntarily entering that field, your energy becomes intertwined with those conflicting forces, affecting your own emotional and mental stability. The symptoms of absorbing other people's conflicts are varied, but recognizable. Restless dreams related to situations that are not yours. Recurring thoughts about how to solve other people's problems. Feeling of emotional weight after interacting with the parties in conflict, or even physical discomfort without apparent cause. To maintain your inner peace in the face of these demands, it's essential to recognize that each person has their own learning and resolution path. Conflicts, although painful, are opportunities for growth for those directly involved. By intervening, you could be interrupting important lessons they need to experience. A compassionate but firm response might be, "I understand you're going through a difficult time, but I think it's important to talk directly about this issue, or I can listen. But I don't feel comfortable being the intermediary in this situation." These responses maintain your emotional support without compromising your well-being. When you decide not to intervene in other people's conflicts, you are sending a clear message. You trust in people's ability to solve their own challenges. This trust is in itself a gift of empowerment that you offer to those involved. The result of setting this limit is surprising. Not only do you protect your own well-being, but you also create space for the relationships around you to mature and evolve naturally. Often, when you stop being the bridge between people in conflict, they find direct and authentic ways to communicate. Remember that your role in the lives of others is not to be a universal conflict solver, but rather an inspirational example of peace and clarity. By maintaining this boundary, you are cultivating a harmonious energy field that benefits not only you, but everyone you come into contact with. The fourth request you must learn to identify is perhaps one of the most subtle and deeply damaging. When someone asks you to change your essence, your way of being, or your way of perceiving the world, this can manifest as constant suggestions to modify your appearance, criticism of your personality, questioning of your spiritual beliefs, or pressure to abandon activities you love and that define you. This request rarely comes directly. It is often presented as well-intentioned advice. "I say this for your own good. I just want you to fit in better. If you change this, you would be more accepted." These seemingly harmless phrases can slowly erode your connection to your true self, like drops of water that eventually pierce even the most solid rock. Your essence is the core of your existence, that unique configuration of energy, talents, perspectives, and potentials that distinguishes you as a unique being in the universe. When you allow others to try to reprogram you, you are allowing interference. This interference generates a deep internal dissonance. When you try to be someone you're not to meet other people's expectations, your energy becomes fragmented. Part of you is following the external script, while another part, your authentic essence, resists and demands its space. This internal division consumes enormous amounts of vital energy and can manifest as chronic anxiety, feelings of emptiness, or loss of purpose. How can you tell if they are trying to change your essence? Notice if, after interacting with certain people, you feel the need to justify your tastes, beliefs, or life choices. Notice if you find yourself thinking, "It should be more" or "it should be less," frequently. These are signs that you may be internalizing external expectations that don't resonate with your inner truth. To strengthen your authenticity in the face of these pressures, cultivate moments of connection with your essential self through practices such as meditation, reflective writing, or creative activities that allow you to express yourself freely. These sacred spaces will help you distinguish between your inner voice and the external voices that try to shape you. When someone tries to change you, you can respond firmly and kindly. I appreciate your interest, but I'm comfortable with who I am, or understand your perspective, but this aspect of me is important to my identity. You don't need to get into elaborate debates or justifications. Your authenticity requires no defense. There is a deep connection between your authenticity and your life purpose. Every genuine aspect of your being is a piece of the puzzle of your mission in this life. When you artificially alter these pieces to please others, the whole picture becomes distorted and you lose sight of the path your soul has chosen to follow. Always remember that the people who truly value you won't seek to change you, but will celebrate your uniqueness. Those who try to mold you according to their expectations are not responding to your true self, but to their own insecurities and limitations. Your task is not to adapt to those expectations, but to remain true to your essence and attract relationships into your life that honor your truth. The fifth and final request you should recognize is when someone expects you to constantly prioritize their feelings over yours. This dynamic manifests when you are made to feel responsible for the emotional well-being of others, demanding that you adapt your actions, decisions, and even your own emotions to maintain their comfort. This request is often wrapped in manipulative phrases like, "It hurts me that you think that way. If you really cared, you wouldn't make me feel bad. Oh, after all I've done for you." These expressions activate feelings of guilt that can lead you to sacrifice your emotional truth to keep the peace or avoid rejection. Emotional manipulation is particularly insidious because it operates in the invisible realm of feelings. It uses guilt as its primary tool to control your actions, creating a prison without physical bars, but equally restrictive. In this dynamic, your own emotions become secondary or even invisible compared to the emotional needs of the other person. It is essential to understand that you are not responsible for the feelings of others. Every human being has their own emotional universe and the responsibility to manage it. You can be compassionate and considerate without becoming someone else's emotional manager. This understanding frees both you and the other person, allowing for a more authentic and balanced relationship. There is a crucial difference between healthy empathy and emotional absorption. Empathy allows you to understand and resonate with other people's feelings while maintaining your center. Absorption, on the other hand, makes you take on other people's emotions as your own, blurring the lines between your experience and that of the other. This energetic confusion can leave you exhausted, confused, and disconnected from your own consciousness. To cultivate your emotional self-care, start by recognizing and validating your own feelings. Ask yourself regularly, how do I really feel in this situation? Take time to listen to your internal response before reacting to external emotional demands. Practice expressions that honor both your truth and the experience of others. I understand this affects you, and I also need to honor what I feel. Or your feelings are important to me, just as my own emotional well-being is. These phrases establish a balance that respects both experiences without subordinating yours. Self-love is not selfishness, but the recognition of your inherent worth. By prioritizing your emotional well-being, you're not rejecting others, but rather offering them the opportunity to connect with your authentic self. This authenticity is paradoxically the greatest gift you can offer in any relationship. Remember that your emotions are internal compasses that guide you toward your truth. When you allow them to be silenced or invalidated, you lose touch with your inner wisdom. Protecting your emotional space is not an act of isolation, but of reverence for that vital navigation system that connects you to your deepest purpose. Recognizing these 5 dangerous requests marks the beginning of a profound transformation in your life. Setting boundaries is not an act of rejection toward others, but a gesture of love toward yourself. By protecting yourself from external responsibilities, unjustified loans, conflicts that are not your responsibility, attempts to change your essence, or emotional manipulation. You are honoring your unique path. Remember that your energy is sacred and deserves to be preserved. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the permission to live with authenticity, peace, and fulfillment. Are you ready to begin this journey of self-discovery and energetic protection? Thank you so much for your support, and if you've made it this far, please receive, as always, a big hug from the entire team. Thank you very much for offering us your company one more day. See you soon.